They will fight for this and try to escalate as much as possible. Putin says that he, will go to Pokrovsk. Sure, if he comes to Pokrovsk, everyone will applaud. We understand exactly how it will all eventually end. Since the beginning of the year, we have synchronized 11 packages with our partners and 6 with our European colleagues. Also the United States of America, Canada, the EU, as I mentioned, Britain and Japan. Next month, we will complete the synchronization. That is, we will fulfill all our plans and obligations. So, for us, it is very important right now, and today we are working. The G7 ministers, the energy ministers are holding a meeting to ensure synchronization among the G7 countries. And who is helping? The countries that are reducing imports from the Russian Federation: Canada, Australia, Britain, Japan, the EU. These are our key partners who have reduced imports from the Russian Federation as much as possible to a minimum or even to zero. And those who have increased, on the contrary, India, China, Turkey, and Central Asia, the former Soviet colleagues, so to speak. That is, these are the countries and regions where the numbers have actually gone up rather than down in recent years. Yes, this is something we need to work on. There is a vision for how to address this. American sanctions will probably start to take effect somewhere around November 20th, 2025, unless there are, some steps taken. Next, according to our data, after these sanctions, Russia will lose $50 billion next year. So, we expect that these key countries that have increased their exports, that together with the United States of America, we will work to minimize the import of energy resources from the Russian Federation as much as possible. Because here is the example of China. The Minister of Foreign Affairs has just given me all the data. For example, China imported 120 billion. Just imagine the US imposes sanctions, the reduction will be 50, but China's import alone is 120 million. Well, they are the biggest player, the main helper.
According to estimates by international experts, the economic effect of implementing the 19th package will amount to up to $20 billion. This is particularly important because it means there is a direct and significant reduction in revenues flowing into the Russian budget, which is primarily and mainly used to finance and support the ongoing war effort. We are closely monitoring.
Andrii Ivanovich, excuse me, just so no one gets confused, so as not to confuse anyone. I was talking about the sanctions of the United States of America plus. That's the 50. On oil, that's 50 billion. And part of the 19th package is up to 20 billion.
In addition to the mentioned sanctions, we also have so-called kinetic sanctions, meaning those deep strikes and operations deep behind enemy lines using UAVs. We're talking about a distance of 120 kilometers plus, that is, more than 120 kilometers. It is also important to emphasize that in carrying out the tasks set by the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, the President of Ukraine, we are striking only legitimate targets. Oil extraction and oil refining account for 90% of the budget of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. In other words, these are dirty oil rubles thanks to which the enemy is killing us. So, from the beginning of 2025 to today, we have destroyed 48% of enemy panzers. This is the current priority. It has been said by the President of Ukraine. They produce 30 per year, but the number destroyed far exceeds what they produce. That is why we are working on this. And as always, we will be sure to keep you informed and pleased with the results in our official communications after the fact.
Since the beginning of the year, we have already enacted more than 50 sanction decrees. No other country has such a pace of sanction work. And besides that, I really like the possibility of linking kinetic sanctions with the, classical sanctions. What I mean is that when strikes are carried out on critical infrastructure facilities of the Russian Federation, they then have to repair those facilities. Repairing these facilities is, one way or another, connected to the need to import components. The import of components, expensive technologies and installations is usually either already partially covered by sanction restrictions or will soon be fully and maximally covered by sanctions.
For the first time here, information was revealed about the destruction of the Kalashnik on the territory of the Russian Federation. When did this happen? Can you lift the veil a little? And is it possible to carry this out in Belarus using the same scheme?
We won't be sharing exact details today, As I already mentioned, within our defense forces, this was handled by the Security Service of Ukraine, the main intelligence directorate, and the Foreign Intelligence Service. The destruction was total. It was a very successful operation, but at the time, it was not publicized in any way.
I know the topic is sanctions, but today Pokrovsk matters. What's the situation there now? Because many Russians have been pushed back.
And what Russia is saying there, I ask you, please. I've been in some offices. Geometrically different ones. And I've seen different maps. I've recently seen a detailed map of military operations that are currently taking place on the territory of Ukraine. And I have to say it looks, let's say, well, quite strange and unusual. And in addition to that, I've also come across several other different maps as well. So for some reason, we have different maps of the actual combat operations in Ukraine. Well, it's clear why in Russia, in Ukraine, in Europe, in the United States of America. And at some point, we coordinate all this, understand where there are certain problems and where there are certain manipulations. And that's why the situation in Pokrovsk is complicated. Well, look, all their forces are concentrated there. You know that in this direction, there are 170,000 enemy troops concentrated, which is a lot. Really, quite a lot, actually. And earlier this morning, I had a conversation with the commander-in-chief discussing the situation in detail. There are no changes in Pokrovsk. There are Russians in Pokrovsk. Our forces are destroying them, gradually destroying them. So it's important to understand that a serious battle for Pokrovsk is underway. They were given the task to capture this Pokrovsk, to take our Pokrovsk. Specifically to take this city, because they couldn't take Sumy, they couldn't take Kupiansk. They understand that they are losing Kupiansk. That's it, the clearing operation is underway. It's not easy either, but now everything is clear. Our forces reached the river there and blocked them. They can no longer even pass through alone like before. It's difficult. So it's clear that they are losing this. They have lost this. Yes, Dobropilia is absolutely clear. Zaporizhzhia is clear too. They will fight for this and try to escalate as much as possible. Putin says that he, will go to Pokrovsk. Sure, if he comes to Pokrovsk, everyone will applaud. We understand exactly how it will all eventually end.